This is World of Africa, and I'm Erik Njoka. This week on the show, we highlight two regions that tell different stories of pain inflicted by the army and one by rebel militia. The United Nations has unearthed gross human rights violations orchestrated by the Nigerian Army on women and children. While another damning report from Central Africa revealed a shocking massacre perpetrated by the M23 rebels. That's our focus on this episode. You are watching WION World is One. The show starts right now.
President Joe Biden will announce U.S. support for the African Union's admission to the G20 group of the world's largest economies as a permanent member. African delegates and heads of state are in Washington for the U.S.-Africa Summit. South Africa is the only G20 member from Africa. The AU is made up of 55 member states. The United States released a new strategy document for sub-Saharan Africa in August, stressing the region's importance, the threats posed by China and Russia, and vowing to extend defense cooperation with like-minded African countries. The birth of 7 African lion cubs was recently recorded in the zoological park of Mostaland in the Algerian city of Mostaganem, sparking happiness and joy among keepers. According to the director of Mostaland Park's veterinary clinic, the cubs are of a rare breed of lions on the verge of extinction, no longer found in the wild. 2 lionesses at the park gave birth to the 7 cubs, 4 of which are white cubs and 3 are brown. South Africa has said it will decriminalize sex work, hoping to tackle high levels of crime against women in a country with one of the world's highest HIV caseloads. The sale and purchase of sexual services will no longer be treated as a crime under the proposed legislation put forward by the Justice Ministry. According to advocacy groups, there are more than 150,000 sex workers in the country.
This episode begins in Maiduguri, Nigeria. The country's army is facing a series of accusations. First, Amnesty International claims the military has been committing atrocities in the northeast of the country in its fight against Islamist militants belonging to Boko Haram. The campaign group said it has seen gruesome footage, including alleged members of the military slitting the throats of detainees. Then, an expose by Reuters that revealed an illegal secret abortion program among women rescued from Boko Haram. At least 10,000 women may have been subjected to forced terminations. All these allegations have been refuted by the army. Here now is a report.
These are the Nigerian Army pickup trucks arriving with women, some pregnant, and children rescued from terrorist group Boko Haram. They were found in the Sambisa forest back in 2015. Who were unaware of what was to come. They fell prey to a political war with no say in their choices about their own bodies. According to an investigation by Reuters, since 2013, the Nigerian Army has run a secret, systematic and illegal abortion program in the country's northeast, terminating at least 10,000 pregnancies among women and girls, many of whom had been kidnapped and raped by the Islamist terrorists. The women and girls ranged from a few weeks to 8 months pregnant, and some were as young as 12. The abortions mostly were carried out without the person's consent and often without their prior knowledge.
In the beginning, we were in our town. Boko Haram came and attacked. They grabbed us and took us away to the bush. After that, we were in the bush, in their hands. Soldiers came and took us. After that, they took us to Giwa barracks, and they aborted our pregnancies.
The campaign relied on deception and physical force against women who were kept in military custody for days or weeks. Witnesses said the soldiers commonly assured women, who often were debilitated from captivity in the bush, that the pills and injections given to them were to restore their health and fight diseases such as malaria. And in some instances, women who did not comply were beaten, caned, held at gunpoint, or drugged into compliance.
It's done in secret. Unless you go inside the place, you wouldn't know what's happening in there.
They take the pregnant ones because they don't want them to give birth to children who will grow up with the blood of Boko Haram in their bodies. That's the reason why they give them abortions.
The Nigerian military leaders deny that the abortion program ever took place. They labelled it as a foreign effort to undermine the country's fight against the terror groups and denied any investigation into the matter, claiming it to be untrue.
I'm not going to be detailed, and I don't think that any of my officers and men are detailed. We work as part of the scary architecture of our country. And I'm glad my commander in chief has absolute confidence in what I do and what we do. I believe Nigerians are also giving us the support that is required. I think Nigerians are better informed as to the disposition of the armed forces relative to the allusions of leaders for them to take a stand and to know that certainly the military, the Nigerian armed forces can never be involved in such things.
Women and girls are trapped in a titanic struggle in northeast Nigeria. The conflict is between the government and Boko Haram, but it is the women who bear the brunt. Everything comes down to a long-standing question. How long will it take for the women's cry to be heard? Bureau Report, World of Africa.
The United Nations released a damning report recently about how the M23 armed group executed at least 131 villagers in reprisal killings in East Democratic Republic of Congo late last month as part of a campaign of murder, rape, kidnapping and looting. Those fleeing the Kishishe massacre in the DRC's volatile east are now narrating their harrowing ordeal. Here's their story from different IDP camps in Congo.
It is daybreak in Kanyaruchinya, an internally displaced persons camp 8 kilometers north of Goma in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Displaced by war, people like Bahati Bashubage are trying to make a living by operating small business, public transport and raising the cattle they fled with.
I have been a tailor for a very long time, but here I find it difficult to even find a potato for my children. It's very difficult to get even 50 cents. All the displaced people come here with their clothes, but they have no money.
This is among many makeshift camps built to shelter people escaping the wrath of the rebels, whom Kinshasa accuses Rwanda of backing. They have been occupying their localities in Rushuru territory for months, worsening the humanitarian crisis. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights is concerned.
On the Democratic Republic of Congo, I mean, it's obviously very, very concerning, and I am deeply concerned about the situation, especially when it comes to the exercise of democratic freedoms in the country, but also really appalled by the mass killings of more than 130 civilians by the M23 in Kishishe and Bondo in the North Kivu province.
This is Kishanga, another camp which is sheltering vulnerable Congolese escaping the vagaries of the rebellion. They all have heartbreaking stories from their home village of Kishishe.
We were in the church when we heard the bullets. Each ran their own way to save their lives. Others hid behind the school, and when the bullets continued, they went to the bushes. I followed a river, and the bullets kept coming.
When the M23 entered the village, we waited for bullets. 2 children went out, they were killed. That's when we fled. One was 18 and the other was 10 years old.
Abo bana rero umwe In the camp, we live in difficult conditions. People are dying of hunger. We have accommodated in small houses families of 5 to 6 people. Children and their parents, all together, they do not have anywhere to go.
As disaster was ongoing in Congo, mediators were busy holding dialogues which came to a close in Kenya's capital, Nairobi.
I must say that we have made progress, and I'm hopeful that when we meet again in Goma, which is the place, and we have said that that should happen between January and February, we should be able to report progress on the items that have been agreed upon here, and then engage into some of the more medium-term and long-term agenda items that require time when we meet at our next meeting. But
despite the brawl in his country, the head of state, Felix Tshisekedi, was having different set of priorities: the elections.
Que le gouvernement congolais, tout en restant ouvert.
I am proud to confirm that the Congolese government, while remaining open to the support of our technical and financial partners, is financing 100% of the budget of the current electoral cycle according to the disbursement plans agreed with the CENI.
Convenu avec la CENI.
Investigators interviewed 52 victims and direct witnesses and various other sources in Ruindi, about 20 kilometers from Kishishe, where survivors and witnesses had taken refuge. The scars of the war are evident in the refugee camps. M23's recent offensives have uprooted thousands of civilians and sparked a diplomatic spat with neighboring Rwanda, which Congo and the United Nations experts accuse of backing the rebels. Rwanda continues to deny any involvement. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
The Nigerian creative and entertainment industry is creating perceptive entrepreneurs, cultural ambassadors, and global brands. Nollywood, Nigeria's budding film industry, is now dominating the global film markets in terms of volume of production in the continent, and third globally behind India's Bollywood and America's Hollywood in revenue. The entertainment sector is now reputed to be the second highest employer in Nigeria after agriculture, employing millions of people, particularly the youth. Here's a report from Lagos, Nigeria.
Nigerians are facing harsh realities thanks to the sinking economy of the country. Government data shows that 63% of Nigerians are poor due to lack of access to health, education and employment. However, Nigeria's young have now stepped up to leverage the digital space to earn a decent living while bringing smiles to people's faces.
When we experience laughter or feelings of happiness, one of the things that happens is our body releases endorphins. Endorphins are what we refer to as feel-good hormones. And in the time when your body releases endorphins, it counteracts the effects of cortisol. Cortisol is another hormone that is secreted when you're stressed. And so endorphins counteracting the effects of, cortisol in your body could reduce the effects of stress in your body. Reducing the effects of stress in your body, basically makes you a healthier person. So yes, laughter is medicine, quite correct.
The entertainment and creative sector has emerged as one of the top job-creating sectors in Nigeria, aided by rapid progress in digital technology, supporting content creation, distribution and consumption.
I mean, we know a lot about, content creators, what they do and all of that. But then again, we also have the other side as to what they really add to the economy. So the article just goes ahead to kind of give a quick insight on who a creator is in the first part of the article, and kind of like gives a little bit of how creators are, just basically anyone that uses any form of content online. use it and most of the time also make money from it. He also goes to talk about how it's becoming a global thing.
So I mentioned their name. So sorry about everything.
These creators call themselves social workers who draw the attention of the government on various issues through their work, highlighting the plight of people.
The laughter and everything makes me enjoy the comedy because this Nigeria is too hard for someone to be thinking about all our sorrow. So instead of thinking of the sorrow, forget the sorrow with the comedy and the video skits that they make.
Most of the news that comes out today has been negative, so it's only the entertainment industry that has been helpful, and that's what helps us to smile too, you get, because sometimes people, a lot of persons are depressed. I bet you that 8% of people walking down here are depressed. So sometimes people just go online, they just scroll to maybe Instagram, Facebook and all that, and maybe they just watch most of this content put out by skit makers and all that, and they feel much better.
Comedy is essential work. Actually, in some climes, they consider comedians as essential workers, and that cannot be far from the truth, because if you look at the situation of the world, not just Nigeria, I think because of the sensitivities and PC, the world has become so uptight, so tense, and which begs the need to go back to how free sectors like comedy were in the past. I feel that the comedians are like unsung heroes.
In recent years, skit making has become a booming enterprise in the Nigerian entertainment industry. It provided jobs across the value chain, stemming the tide of the high unemployment rate, which stood at 33.3% in 2020, with jobless youth constituting 42.5% of the population. Last year, Jobberman Nigeria stated in a report that this sector, which currently employs over 4 million, has the potential to create an additional 2.7 million jobs by 2025.
Despite all of the doomsday predictions by the World Bank and other international institutions, citizens of Nigeria have found the way of smiling away their sorrows through comedy skits, memes, music, and other forms of entertainment on or off social media. Players in the sector have called for complete government support to ensure that the industry that is capable of providing over 2.7 million jobs by 2025 is supported to the later. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION, World is One.
Members of Kenya's Maasai community are known for maintaining their culture and tradition. That's why the Maasai Olympics came as a surprise to the world and tourists alike. The event is meant to encourage the traditional warriors to swap their spears for javelins and help the Morans learn more about their animals. Here's a report from Kajiado.
In Kimana, Kajiado County, a big fete is about to start. And no, this is not the annual Grandwa circumcision ceremony synonymous with the Maasai community. It's actually celebratory sounds before the whistle is blown to kickstart a game-changing sports event. For generations, Maasai warriors had to kill a lion as part of the Olamayo rite to prove their skills, identify their leaders and attract girlfriends. But as the number of lions in Kenya plummeted from about 30,000 in the 1970s to just over 2,000 now, the community leaders and conservation group Big Life Foundation created the Maasai Olympics to replace hunting with sports. It includes participating in athletics, javelin and Maasai jump competitions during the community event.
And Morana have been killing lions in so many activities to show their bravery or retaliation. I can say after maybe the lion killed their animal or their herd and so forth. But we are here today to tell them that this ecosystem, this wildlife is very important.
Today, 10 years later, we've gone from 12, 15, 20, we don't even know. They were all hiding to over 250 lions in the same area because they have, in fact, the Maasai quit killing them in return for compensation and this athletics competition.
The Maasai Olympics spurred solutions to human and wildlife conflict in the Amboseli ecosystem. Mingati Samanya, a 69-year-old Maasai elder, says that hunting lions did not benefit them in any way.
Even if elephants or lions kill cattle, it is prohibited to kill wild animals. We consult and compensate for the lost cattle.
Draped in colorful costumes and sporting beads, dozens of athletes took part in the 5th edition of the biannual event. The competition in Kimana Reserve near Mount Kilimanjaro drew some 160 participants, including 40 women, and is credited with playing a stellar role in lion conservation.
Today is my first day participating in the sport and I have won, so I am very happy. Nowadays, the way I have won, we can no longer kill wild animals, so we guard them.
The winners of the various events do not receive medals but are rewarded with cattle, scholarships or money.
These Maasai Olympics have really changed the Maasai girls and Maasai Morans because in the past, the men used to go to the forest to kill wild animals in order to get heroic names. These Maasai Olympics have brought change because the more they run, they get money and they know Big Life Foundation has brought the change.
Poaching and unprecedented drought have threatened the lion population in Kenya. Following several failed rainy seasons, the land in the Kimana Reserve is scorched due to the worst drought in 40 years. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
And that's our time on this week's World of Africa. Find us on all our social media platforms and talk to us there. We appreciate your feedback. Thank you for watching. This is WION World is One, and I'm Erik Njoka. See you on the next episode.